Grand Rising Life Force, and welcome to Speak Pro Radio. My name is Stefan Rao, more commonly known as Tank, and this is the Life Force Network. So today, we're going to try our best to put together some of the incredible things that were most recently discussed on the World Situation Report and actually take some guidance from the ground commander, because she's basically telling everyone that if the world's going to change, it's going to be changed by us, which is not news, really. That's something that we've all known. However, the question is always, how do we do that, right? How do we take initiative on our own to change the emphasize all the time? This expands into a family and then a community and then into the world, right? So we're going to talk about some today, and as always, my partner in always, Laura. Laura.
Hello,
What's
Mr.
up?
Ra. How are you?
Are you staying off camera? I can't bring you on camera.
There we go.
All right.
We are on.
Pretty incredible reports. Do you want to break down what I can kind of comprehend?
Yeah, you're a little bit glitchy, just to let you know. So at any point, you're a little bit glitchy, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. That's
like
fine.
now.
Listen, if I'm glitchy, there's nothing I can do about it. It's not really. It is what it is.
Yeah, we've been having these issues for a little bit. We've been trying to fix it, but looks like it's not fixed. So anyways, yes, please, Mr. Al, I would love to have a breakdown on the situation report.
I don't know that I can honestly break this down. So I'm going to give you some of the highlights or lowlights. I'm not even sure, right? So as you remember, the archivist, which the archivist I always kind of associated with being like, right? For history, they're supposed to be neutral, right? And they were allegedly pretty consistent working with the ground commander and providing, not go into the archives without her signature, because they couldn't really, right? They couldn't put anything in the Hall of Records, like no laws, no changes, without her actual, authorization, right? So, and then also Tom Melville worked. The belief was like, hey, these are real kind of intergalactic beings that the halls of Amenti, Hall of Records, or whatever it is, which is kind of this recording space, because humans couldn't access their soul records, right? And this has to do with the Artemis Accord created karmic records, which were false records, really implant anything into our history that she wanted to have direct access to our soul records. And because of that, we had kind of an intercessor as the archivists. Now, this is my understanding. Everyone can feel free to go to United Network. Earth. It's Kimberly Ann Gogan, the ground commander from the Office of the Guardian. And you can listen for yourself. It is incredible news. It's not for everybody, for sure. It's not something that I think everybody can comprehend. Even people who are deeply involved have a hard time really wrapping their mind around some of the things that are spoken about there, right? Myself included. And I've been deeply involved, as much as anyone, I would imagine. They're the archivists, right? So we thought the archivists were kind of, maybe they weren't good guys, but they weren't bad guys. But a red flag was they wouldn't meet with Kim, meet with Joe. That's a red flag, right? Because, if you're meeting with Kim in person, I suppose you could read your energy and everything else, right? So what happened? They betrayed us. But it gets deeper, right? So they were betraying us. First, they were working with the deep states at the Paris Olympics to use the archivist financial system, which was like a separate off-ledger system. And they were registering, the archivists were registering the deep state state laundered funds from the.
So what were they doing?
They were money laundering basically.
Okay.
So they accumulated 800, I don't know, trillion, billion, gazillion dollars. Doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
It's all right. Registered this money now. If anyone's been paying attention, we're in the midst of a liquidity crisis. That's something most people can understand. Liquidity crisis means there's not enough money that's liquid, that's available to people, to banks, to companies worldwide. We are the worst liquidity crisis in history. There's just not money to lend, not money to spend. It's just people have been living on credit and are falling apart, right? So
Mm.
what the argument they were going to bring in the deep state money that was laundered from trafficking and drug sales and arms sales and starting wars and human trafficking, all types of horrific things. And they were laundering the money for them and registering it. Now, this has been the big thing: is the deep state has been stealing money from the markets and from people in any way they can. And every time they take the money, they take it off ledger. They traded a bunch in these. I don't even know if they're bullet platforms, but they used to use bullet platforms, right? They trade the money back and forth, and they create more money. And then what they used to do is they could bring that money on ledger as they needed it, right? Well, they haven't been able to do that because we now have this brand new, incredible, super deluxe financial system called the Golden Age system, right? It's replaced the light system. It's replaced Alpha Omega. It's replaced all these things. And running that, I think the operating system or a functional front of that is the Key Integrated Monetary System, also known as KIMS. Okay. That's all been happening. These are the incredible things that are happening in the world. And the deep state keeps trying to register dark money into a light system, and the light system doesn't acknowledge the money. So they can't register it because it comes from bad. So the claim is that you can't do that anymore, right? You can't bring in dark money into a light system, period. That is the claim that Kimberly Ann Gogan is saying this is what's happening, right? And I believe her, right? Now, that being said, the archivists betrayed all of humanity. And they were going to they registered this money that potentially could have been brought into the system because it was registered, right? As with allocation numbers and currency, I guess. And they were going to try to bring it into the system. But again, they were found out because the light system detects all these things. Or the light system, sorry, the Golden Age system wouldn't allow it in. Identified the archivists as traitors, and the archivists have now been fired. Okay. So our global archivist, which to me, like we were talking about a couple weeks before it happened, right? We were talking about the archivists. And I was saying, like, I thought that was such a valuable position. Someone who's recording the actual history and events and things taking place here on this earth to relay it in a way that's comprehensible to humanity. I thought was so to me personally.
Sorry, it cut out. You thought it was so what?
I said it's disappointing to me that's what happened. That's the path they went, right?
No.
So now the next part is it gets worse. Apparently, within this, now I'm not sure exactly how this fits or what these beings are. They were named or referred to as Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you know them to be?
Archangels.
Okay, archangels, right?
I was assuming that's what it was. Yeah.
Right. So these are the or some of the archangels are, I guess, that's what I thought too, right? That's because they were
Mhm.
on Michael and Gabriel are actually the angels sculpted onto the ark or the arks of the covenant, archangels, right? And also the ark was kept in the most holy place, and the veils, the blue, purple, and scarlet veils that protected the ark, they had embroidered on them other angels. So I'm assuming Raphael was probably part of that, right? Uh, but
Okay.
but apparently, um, One of these being them were working with the arc and promising the deep state control of all these different things, aspects of the world, financial control, telling the order of the Black Sun and the Dragon families that they were going to rule and how they were going to go back to Source, propose a plan to Source to basically stay in control. They went back to Source, and Source was like, no, no, no. And you have 24 hours to fix the problems you just caused because nuclear codes and different codes to the financial system that
What
were
did they?
active at some
Sorry.
point.
So what did they do with those codes? They unleashed it. You said.
Yeah, so these three beings, I would have known them as archangels. I guess there
Okay.
was like a negative version and then a neutral version, right, of them that
Okay.
existed, right? I guess higher and lower cells. The way that Kim Gogan described it was that one of them was closer to the dark, who kind of led the betrayal, right? And they were
Okay.
told by Source, by the ultimate or God,
Okay.
right, to come back down. They had 24 hours to fix the mess they made, or at least
Yeah.
put forth an earnest effort to do so.
Hmm.
And here, like unleashed hell, right? They were like, screw it, we're gonna to be no longer exist in Source, right? So basically, they deleted themselves through death by betrayal. Basically, is what they did, and they
Sorry. So they deleted. Mister, I'm so sorry. It's glitching out. So you're saying that they purposely came down, and so instead of actually fixing it like they were told to do, they chose to, you know, leave la media cagada, which means in Spanish like up here, and then once they,
oh,
well, how's, you know, yeah. Anyways, point of the story. So that's what they did here, and then they then chose to not fix it, and instead that their soul would be basically gone forever. So they
gone
chose
forever.
that route instead of helping, gone forever.
Yep,
So basically that's what they did.
yep. And they decided they were done.
Okay.
You know, they were done. And
Yeah.
before they left, they left the ultimate kind of fu to all of us and to God and to the entire multiverse. Right,
And
the
who
best
did?
they could.
And okay, so by them leaving and doing these things, what did they do? Like, who did they give
They
control over
they
to
they basically
whom?
gave our enemy. They gave the enemy, and by enemy, this is what I mean to be perfectly clear. The
Okay.
previous controllers of this world, or at least the figureheads, the ones who thought they were in control, the ones who
Yeah.
their sole purpose at this point, soul meaning only, and their soul's
Hmm.
purpose is to destroy humanity, to kill all us off. This is their goal. And
And who
so what's yeah.
and who is that?
Well, that is the order, the orders of the dragon families, which is the Rothschilds et al. So this includes the entire color spectrum of dragon families, right? So, you know, you have your black dragons, which are like Italian American and Chinese, and then you have your yellow dragons or golden dragons, which are Chinese. Then you have your green dragons, which are Middle Eastern, I guess. You know, your white dragons are Austrian. Your blue dragons are the British. The red dragons are the Russians, right? So I forget who the purple dragons are, but all these different dragons, each one of them represents a different region that they had control of, the spectrum of color,
Hmm.
you know, for the dragon families. That's like the financial control guys. The Order of the Black Sun, which was like kind of work together. And this is like those who worship death and and they all believe that new creation only comes from destroying what you made. Now, they don't have the
Okay.
ability to manifest and create from the essence which they possess.
Hmm.
So they whatever it is they want. So this world we live
Is
in, yeah, go ahead.
is that when they say deep state? Is that connected to it?
Yeah, that's a generic, explanation of
That's a generic explanation. Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
got it.
deep state is kind of like the high the Orsini's, all these secret, the Khazar, the Illuminati, the Masons, the peace. These are all different, now kind of publicly secret groups, right? Like we know they exist, but what they really do and what their secret power is. Their power is basically they worship death, right? They worship destruction because they, in and of themselves, can the way that humanity naturally can, right? It kind of like
Okay.
counter has so yeah, I forget. It's the Mauritius, not Mauritius, but there's a Melchizedek on one side, and then I want to say the Orsini's, but it's not. But it's the Medici's, I think. But there's another side, right? And it's like, and these are exceptional, more connected to source, and the other side was more connected to anti-source. But anti-source, which I would have thought was the devil before, but now that's just kind of a generic term for, all these different groups. Like Lucifer was one entity, and anti-source was another, and then Enlil and Enki and Marduk and the Abrasics and Artemis, they were all the owners of this earth. And we were just kind of slaves who exist here right now. So now we've
So would they be like
reclaimed.
extraterrestrials, like Artemis, and you said, all these other things that you just pronounced, that you just said, sorry. Are they extraterrestrials, or are they, what exactly, are they people?
So
Can you explain that?
Artemis was an extraterrestrial who's Palladian from the Red Palladians, I believe. And she's the Red Queen,
Okay,
right? So she's the queen of this dark race of Palladians. The Abrasics
okay,
are like the movie Jupiter Ascending, right? They're they're
okay,
human. They played some part in manufacturing this version of genetic human, often worshipped as the god of the Khazarian aspect of the Jews, believe it or not, in like the higher states of the Kabbalah, right? Um,
hmm
Enlil and Enki and Marduk, I think they're draconian, like reptilian. I think they're like white
okay.
dragons because Kim actually saw one of them drop their flesh suit and kind of they emerge as a white dragon, one of them. Um,
Like
so, and
physically, like she actually saw that, like in her physical eye, or etheric?
yes. I'm not sure.
No,
I
like,
think no. I actually think she saw it physically. She saw them drop their flesh suit
oh, okay.
because when they're angry, like they would appear in like physical form, like a human,
hmm
but they couldn't maintain that when they got angry. So
That makes
Kim had
sense.
shown
Okay.
up to Russia in what is referred to as like the massacre, right, where you had
hmm
these high council meeting that you can. We had on the Speak Project. I'm not sure where, but you'll see the Sun Tzu circle. At the center of the Sun Tzu circle would be Marky. They used to be there. Now Kim is there. Kim Gogan is there. And
Okay.
groups were there. And Kim went out to Russia to show this meeting.
hmm
And ask her, I believe she was with others energetically, but physically as well. They attacked her. And so she had the right to defend herself. And many or all of them died that day because of it. They were on that higher echelon who were holding humanity hostage and basically enslaving all of us, right? Much that we didn't know, right? So kind of the
hmm
controllers of the dark matrix, right? And then
Yep.
so that's Artemis, Enlil, Enki, Marduk, anti-source. I have no idea. Anti-source is just an all-empowering being of the dark, and
hmm
Lucifer is, I don't know, a Tarzakian demon of some kind, something like that. Tarzakian demons being like these kind of dark, cloudy entities. I have seen actually, physically have seen them, um, and but I'm not exactly right. So I don't want to add more confusion. All entities from other realms, dimensions, planets, things like that, right? And they were
Yeah.
owners of the Earth because of this war that happened 250,000 years ago, and they kind of were the ones left in charge. Before that was Artemis, right? Which is also where the Artemis
hmm
Accords come from that NASA put out there, right? which you can look up on the internet. So,
Okay.
all said, now the current state of the union that we're witnessing take place here. So, first, it's kind of shocking to me, very disappointing, right? Even though I've heard, everything that we know optionally.
Okay. Could you repeat that again, please, for me?
Do you want me to expound on it? Yeah, you're doing great.
You glitched out.
It's fine. It's now. It's
You
me.
glitched
Okay,
out.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Leela. I know
So
I'm
that's why I'm
glitchy.
repeating. That's why
No,
I'm
you're fine.
repeating things, and so that's why I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Because they've been playing with it. We're on the same internet. Leela, am I glitchy, or is it just him? If anyone else can tell me in the chat, this is pretty cool doing this live. Just him. Yep, we're on the
Just me.
same Wi-Fi, and this is what's happening. We have done everything. So this is why, um, if you if you want to stop, we can stop. I just got bitten by my dog.
It's okay. We'll keep talking.
So
We'll
what would
glitch.
you?
If I
Okay,
glitch, people let me know. Okay, so
okay.
uh, these different accords is what we were talking about, right? So now,
Mhm.
I was, but I don't remember. Oh, okay, sorry. So this is what it was. Uh, so it was kind of disappointing to me, even though I know better. I know that everything we know is the opposite, right? So a lot of the stuff that we thought was so sacred ends up being not true, right? Like the Catholic Church was the kind of uh, the vicar, they're supposed to be the holiness representative of the Christian faith, let's say. Now, I don't know how many people have thought that in a long time, but turns out they do satanic rituals underneath, and all of the, they operate under canon law, which is Canaanite law, which basically celebrates and worships the devil. So that's very disappointing. Like that's just an example of how things are not what you think. Now, I mean, I think a lot of look at the Catholic Church as not being the best, but I'm trying to give an example of something that we all kind of can relate to, right? A lot of us used to think the government wouldn't try to hurt us, right? Meanwhile,
Well,
we know that's not
that's
true.
that's where I was at, like a few years back. It was like, no, the government won't do this to hurt us. Like they're here to protect us. They're here to help us. The police are here to help us. Um, we've got our dog. So I was like that, and I can understand other people feeling that way too, because that's what they're supposed to do. So it is a little bit disappointing when you're just understanding it now, going, hang on a second, this is the world we've been living in. Holy moly, it's a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, and what is even more challenging with this is as much as we're talking about things changing. The Office of the Guardian, Kimberly, do I absolutely believe is amazing things? Absolutely. Do I believe that we have direct access to source, to God now in a way that we never had before? I absolutely believe that. Do I fully comprehend it? I'm curious to. I desire to. I practice this every day, connecting to God in a more direct way because in reality, we are conduits to divine source light energy, right? So, you know, it's up to us from that standpoint just to even manifest. Now, manifestation is not just a practice of meditation, but it's actually taking action and allowing that energy to flow through it and move things in our life as well, right? So I absolutely believe that. Now, where I am, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this struggle with this a little bit. Is we're still watching. It seems like every time you turn around, something else just falls apart. Like there's something else you're seeing is just like this is going down. That in all of the multiverse, with the power of God, the power of God behind the restoration, the all of this incredible galactic support. We have legions of angels here. We have like 3 million deep ground command army of galactic beings with weapons far superior to anything the other side has. Right? We have an air command, I think, air command with the enforcer, who's like a legendary being taking out the bad guys. Right? This is what we have on our side. The other side is a bunch of fumbling idiots who messing things
Fumbling,
up.
they're thumbling
Fumbling
what?
idiots. Fumbling somehow stave off God. Stave off, these incredible and it's frustrating as you're watching it because what you're looking for is you want humanity, or we're looking to see humanity and all these other living beings that coexist here rise together. And what does that look like? Especially because how many even know it's happening? I mean, how many
That's
people in
true.
the 8 billion people in the world even know, right? Because if the most powerful message in the world is coming out from United Network, well, it's a paid platform. So, I mean, maybe 30,000 people actually get touched by it. Let's say 100,000. It's still just a fraction of the 8 billion, just the people that really comprehend that. Now, do I believe it's broadcast in other ways? About the multiverse? Absolutely. I believe there's other things going on there. But I
Mhm.
how does this become mainstream in the sense of how does it become something that's practical, usable, and functional in our everyday life? If even people with a really advanced understanding kind of struggle with it, right?
Mhm.
So that to me is personally, something I really, I'm like, I wholehearted, I believe in what's being said. I believe these things are happening. I've seen them happen. I've seen things move and take place are incredible. Now, the challenge we have, I think, as people is to take these things, digest them, chew on them, meditate on them, and consider, okay, how do we take these things and make them practical? So, most recently, what the ground commander was talking about is a lot about the assemblies and how the assemblies didn't work, which I don't really agree with that. The assemblies were sabotaged from the inside out, unfortunately. However, the principle of these, and was there ways to improve? Absolutely. Did they fail? Yes. Did, is there something there to that? Absolutely. People coming together in a community and organizing and deciding how they want to live is absolutely essential to the world changing. It's absolutely, I don't care what anybody says, including Kim. Now, were the assemblies successful the way that they were structured? No, I mean, I was directly part of that. And, you know, I could tell you, I, I did the best I could do, or that I thought was the best. Is there ways to improve on that? Absolutely. Is it through logistics and, little things? I don't think so. But just having people have a melee over, like, oh, we're all just going to be responsible for our own projects. Well, then you're going to lose a lot of ideas. I think you're going to lose a lot of
Well,
stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it's lose a lot of ideas, but there would be a lot of people that have the same project, the same thing. That's where I see it as. It's like if we just come together and we, figure out who has what, and we're really going there, huh? We look. I myself work behind with Latin America. I was a liaison, and I can, there was some stuff there that I can say that was a little bit didn't quite agree with. You know, I've seen a few comments in regards to this. It's like, well, what I remember, yes, there was a lot of assemblies that did go, haywire. But if I'm being 100% honest, and I guess I'm doing this now, it's that it was the leadership's problem. It was the leadership's fault. And I've said this to you millions of times. You guys were telling everyone that you need to do this and stop fighting about this. And you know what? There was things happening that were just not okay. And so anyone that knows or has a business or even has a family will know that if that home is not okay, everything's going to crumble. You got to make sure the concrete's set first. So, you know, were there things done that could have been done better? Always. Were there people sabotaging it? A lot. It was coming from inside. You know, I can tell you from Latin America and the experiences that I had. You know, yes, people did do things that were just unacceptable, but also a lot of people used a lot of their hard earnings to create a website, to get everyone together. You know, in Latin America, a country was telling people, we can't have you anymore. We just don't have the resources. They were literally all over the radio in their country. They were coming together, helping each other out. There was, you know, helping each other with food, with many, many things. Many people did amazing things, and there were only a fraction that were there for just the money. You know, do assemblies work or not? I don't know, but that's up to the people. Like, I am sick and tired of people telling us what we have to do and telling us to wait and telling us that we have to wait for instructions. Well, if you're telling us it's up to us, then it comes from us. We should be, you know, doing these, knowing what's happening with the system. And I get it. We're up against, you know, the enemy, but we need to remember who the enemy is. The enemy is the deep state. You know, we, all of us living beings here that are for the light, need to come together and figure it out and put their differences aside. And I do understand that so many people were petty, but there were a lot of amazing people that were coming up with amazing ideas. And really, they got tired of the drama. They got tired of waiting. They got tired of wasting their money. They got tired of now go, now stop, now do this. Look, do I believe in Kim? I do. I do believe in Kim. I believe she is doing her role, and I believe that it is now up to the people to do their role, however it is. But that comes with coming together, all races coming together and saying, okay, let's think about it. What do we need to do for this planet? You know, what do we need to do? And it's not about, you know, I'm the boss and I'm president, this and that. It's like, if you really are for the people and you really do want to help your community, then that means you hear what your people need. You go and you do needs assessments, you know. So, but at the same time, too, I don't blame humans listening to this, or humans that walked away, or humans that are continuing to do this, going, I don't know what to do, because it's a lot. You know, you're talking about fixing something that inconsiderate beings left a mess. But this is the blissful thing. It's our duty to take back our home. That's the way I see it. Um, and I just think that, yes, assemblies, some didn't work, but some did a really good job. So, you know, and
I
really
think
did want to help
I
people,
think
and they were.
it's unfortunate to me. There was people together in huts in Uganda and in
Yeah,
Nigeria. Whole communities, people were gathering in the Philippines. People were gathering looking for what can we do. Not everybody was arguing about who was going to be the president. Not everybody was.
yeah,
Most of the people, as always, most of the people were thinking, what can we do to make a difference? Now, we
yes.
tried, and to your point, like I take responsibility for
Well,
this, right? We tried to implement structure so that people said, look, just put so that we're all the same way. And then we all kind of know, oh, I do this, and then we do a vote on it, and then there's a procedure. And we're trying to give people a
yeah,
structure now. And then people got caught up in the power of it. Now, one of the things that happened that I
yeah,
really don't appreciate is after there was kind of the separation, well, it turned into a whole dark thing in Latin America where
oh
they
yeah,
were they
oh,
were taking
it was just,
whoever the leader came after
yeah,
we left, the leadership, the alleged leadership, allowed this where individuals were telling them that they needed $500, $10,000, however
No, no,
much
no,
money.
thousands. We're talking about thousands. Yeah, saying if you give me, for example, 5,000, I'll give you 20,000 when, you know, we get funded. So they were
Right.
taking loans. So yes, those things did happen, and this is where you got to be careful too. Those things, and what made me so angry, I was like, wait, are we talking pesos? And they were like, no, USD, and I was like, that's a lot of money for
So
you
that
guys.
could that
So
could wipe
I
people
do,
out, right?
yeah, and look, I get it, but maybe at that time, for what I recall, perhaps it was a protection thing. Maybe people were, in danger. There's many things to that, but but does it have to be called assemblies? No. But there needs to be communities that need to come together because in my opinion, it's how do you learn and get ideas from one another and go, "Hey, this is what we're doing. Why don't you try this?" Because right now, um do you know where to go to connect with one another? Because I don't. And look, they're doing a great job. They are doing a great job and they're doing everything that they can. I do believe that. However, there needs to be a place that it's a safe place that people can talk about their ideas. Because not too long ago, we know incredible people that are in hiding because they have
Sure.
amazing ideas or things that they can bring out today, but because it's not safe for them or because of whatever reason, they just can't. So that's where it's like, are we at that stage that these people can come out and start talking about how to heal yourself in a way that is cost effective or nothing? Because there is that out there,
Well,
so
so there is, so this is a question I do have that I would really
mhm,
love answered is the key integrated media system. Now, that is the system that is another Kim's system that she implemented, and I don't really fully understand what its function is. And I don't understand what the function of that is. However, what I hope it would do is say we launch a an actual a social media platform, which we have, by the way. We have
mhm.
built all of these things. We have spent the past 3 years building out a an incredible historical archive with hundreds of thousands of documents and videos on it. We've built an actual fully functional, very user friendly um, social media platform called the One Life Network, right? And we built that. Now we kind of half launched it and didn't because we were still kind of getting through. We tried to do so many things all at once, and we needed to get it out there. And we paid for all of this ourselves, right? So we invested thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of our own money to create a place, including our own version of a job site, right?
Yeah.
So ethical companies and ethical projects could post their positions for their jobs, for their needs, and people could apply who wanted to contribute in that way. Now, so when we
You
talk
cut out
about there
about
being a
that. Can you
place
just repeat that?
about the job board,
You cut out, yeah, you cut out
yeah.
about that.
So we actually set up lifeforce.work, right? And that was for people that wanted to, for ethical companies to post jobs, to post needs, and for projects to post their ideas, what are the projects, and what they needed with volunteers or paid positions. And so you could connect ethical people with ethical companies working toward a common goal, right? So work has always been about creating that ethical connection where we're working towards the same goal. That's always
Well, the
endeavored to do, right?
well, the main thing, the reason why we did that was to have like the basics there, and then expand on it because then the people were going to have control and say, okay, this is what we need to add there. Create this or do that. Whatever you needed to do. We had a bunch of things that were getting launched.
You glitched, or am I glitching? No. You froze. Yep. Okay. Leela just confirmed that you froze. Wow, we must be really on fire today with this. That this is happening. Uh, so what we were talking about is the Life Force Network, right? So the Life Force is a movement. It's always been a movement of like-minded people dedicated to changing the world, right? Yeah, I know. So it's always been a movement of like-minded people dedicated to changing the world, right? That's been the whole idea behind Life Force. So we went out and created the network to make that happen. Unfortunately, at the time, we had a lot of false accusations brought against us and kind of had our name dragged through the mud. At least I did, which is unfortunate because I have done nothing but try to help people and connect people consistently. And I will continue to do so until till my dying breath. I will do everything I can to try to restore this world. And nothing the cabal is going to do or anyone else is going to do is that energy coming from me to put my life, that is my life purpose, my life mission, to bring people together so we can change the world, right? So now, with that in mind, like you, the more of us working towards that common goal, the more I feel we're drawing this direct current, right? We're just on the tail end of the Lion's Gate. So maybe this is energy we're supposed to use to, right? So we need support actually to funded this for 2.5 years. And we really didn't, we didn't really figure out exactly how to sustain it financially, right? So we spent a lot of money, everything we had basically, to keep the network alive and build it up. And so we built all the tools, we built all these great websites and access points and social media points. We even have our own version, right? We even have our own version of like a Zoom calls, right? So you could have a safe place to do Zoom calls. And remember,
Yeah.
with the Life Force movement, we did have some success with this, right? We had the G Force network back then, right?
Yo.
That we built. And we had 12,000 people on the G Force network. And a lot of those were African countries who couldn't afford to build their own websites.
That's And I think that's what the Life Force Network is all about, is having these resources there until the right resources or whatever it is. It's somewhere that we can all connect and help each other out. And what is needed, just request it and run it. As long as you are there to help humanity and do the right thing, and seriously, just like think about it. My main thing is like we got to stop thinking about the little minutia things, because in all honesty, when ground command was talking about people what they were fighting about, I'm sure that happened. However, it's like, were there a lot of people like that? Who knows? I don't know. Like, are we really that, you know immature? Like, we're at war here and we need to stand up. No one's going to stand up for us except ourselves, and I don't care where you are. You're getting affected. It is knocking at your door. So we need to come together and find a solution together that helps everybody. And we need to think about it. Think tanks. I used to think, I used to be in Latin America, and I used to be the liaison in Latin America, and I didn't really know much Spanish at the time. So I kept hearing think tank, and at the time I had no idea what a think tank is. So I was like, I don't know. So I thought it was think like tank. So I went to Latin America and said, think like tank. We gotta think like tank.
Oh no. I don't know how well that helped out. But I
Well,
think
no,
it's
they
pretty
rallied.
good.
I'm telling you this much. They rallied me on. They're like, that's right, we should. And then I had to explain to them afterwards, was like, oh no, no, that's not what
No,
it
think
meant.
tanks
I
are a
do
thing.
apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. That's what I heard. But I was just, and do you know
It's
what? They were
funny.
just so grateful. Like, that's the thing. All these people from all over the world, and I'm sure others can agree here, they were just grateful that anybody was explaining to them what was going on, because they just wanted information. They just wanted to know what is going on. People were scared at when we were there, it was like, what was it? COVID. No, we
Yeah.
can't be saying that, but COVID hit. So it was a really like intense time. Um, so so yeah, so these things, and I see that people are doing that still, which is great. It is really, really good. But we need to expand to 8 billion people and we need to start thinking like that. You know, if, for example, this is what's really going on, which I believe it is, shouldn't we be the ones going, you know what, when you know better, I do better? I'm now going to teach people. And you know what? If they don't listen, they're not ready to listen, and that's okay. But we're going to continue there. Not when they do understand and do get it, then suddenly it's like, well, you're an idiot. You should have gotten it before then. How stupid are you? You should have gotten it when all this happened with COVID. It's like, wait, if you're such Miss Guru or Mr. Guru, why don't you take it back a bit and actually help people? And actually go, oh,
Okay, so what does
I
that
can.
look like? Let's talk about that for a minute. Because one of the things that happens, like when you have a lot of channels that'll blow, they get you know, um, a lot of airtime, right? And usually it's because they're talking about horrifying things, right? They call it, what do they call it now? Doom. It's like you're doom scanning, like you're going through and you're doom scrolling, looking for bad things, bad things, bad
Yeah.
things. And people thrive on, oh my gosh, can you believe this? Can you believe this has happened? Oh my gosh, she's a fake. That one's a fake. All right. So this idea of doom scrolling. So the opposite should also be true, right? Like solution scrolling, right? So we endeavor at daily, right? Like we are constantly looking, be solutions, right? Be solution oriented.
Mm,
So to do always, right? Now, whether you want to call it an assembly, right, which I don't think is a bad thing. I do, for the record, it's not a bad thing. I don't think the assemblies did a bad job. I think they were working towards goals. Most of them had good intentions. You had a few bad apples that were able to kind of, but also at
but
that
they
time,
always this. Sorry, at the time
we were all 7% darkness too.
we were what?
So
Sorry.
we were 79% darkness, right?
Yeah,
So
at the
imagine
time,
what if you
yeah.
had assemblies now where people are supposed to be,
Well,
90
not even
plus percent
assemblies,
white.
communities, coming together and talking about things, like talking about it, giving each other ideas, solutions. What are you doing? How to do it? You know, one of the things that when we went to Myrtle Beach was, how they help the homeless people. I thought this is incredible. Your father said, what did he say?
My dad says that Myrtle Beach is the greatest place to be homeless, right? Because there's a soup kitchen right on the main
A what kitchen?
there's a soup kitchen
Hmm.
where they have meals that you can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner at this one place for free. And they do about I forget what it is. It's like probably 1,000 meals a day, right?
Yeah.
You're just giving out food. So if you were one thing you will not do is go hungry, right? And then
Hmm.
there's ways to get housing, right? And a lot of this is facilitated by the Beach Church, which is a great church in Myrtle Beach. If you haven't
Hmm.
ever been there, Beach
Hmm.
Church is a great church. They help all types of addicts. And I remember when we were there, we spent some time there. I really had to look at myself and say, what are you doing compared to what these guys are doing? Right? They're
Right?
really genuinely gathering people together who want to contribute and help, right?
Yeah.
And you watch people's lives change as
Yeah.
they were a drug addict and now they were invited into a community, and then because they're part of that community, they feel like, hey, I don't have the right to be a drug addict anymore. I'm an ambassador for something bigger than myself.
Well,
That's
you
what the
kind
life
of.
force movement is all about. That's what we've always said it's about, right? So that's what even the assemblies was supposed to be about. So we can get rid of that word, but you know what? Honestly, I don't care what anybody says. Their good intentions and the reality of what the assemblies were set out to do was positive, right? The whole idea that we have the right to assemble, that doesn't mean to protest. That means to come together and make decisions about what your community is going to be. So if you want to call it a community development social organization or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, the solution is still the same. It still involves coming together to do something different than
Or
what hasn't worked.
Yeah, or talking about it as well. Maybe the missing piece is someone that's in your community that just knows how to get that material that you need for your business. But you wouldn't have known if you wouldn't have come together, because now you know you're ethical. You for me, it's like, as long as you are there to do the right thing and actually help your planet, help your people, and help yourself first, then your family, then your people, which then automatically will just help this planet. We just help each other. We are all one. This is a collective. Like, we are a collective. We need to start thinking that way. Like, that's
So,
just, yeah.
so this is why always with the assemblies is the first thing you need to do are needs assessments, right?
Okay, what is a need assessment? Can you explain that?
So a needs assessment is where you're taking the time to survey and acquire the appropriate information to basically understand where you're at right now. What are the needs of your community? Whether that's a neighborhood or a town, what is it that the community lacks and collectively says, we need this, right? Like we need better programs, we need better
We
transportation,
need
we
better
need
buildings.
better buildings, better infrastructure, all of
Mm-hmm.
these things. All of these things are
Okay.
necessary components. And what you do is you grab a group of people and say, we're going to be the needs assessment committee for this town. And we're going to conduct, and so you identify who are the stakeholders, right? Who are the ones who are directly affected by the activities in that town? Is it the people who live there? Is it the kids, right? And then
Mhm.
based on who you are identifying the needs for, you then go out and you can do a needs assessment. What do we need to provide a life where these people can thrive, right?
Mhm.
And then you go through all the different ways. You ask the hard questions, like what is the problem, right? And then you do a risk assessment, right? Once you identify a solution, then you take that solution and you apply it to a risk assessment and say, what are
So,
the risks, people, by doing this?
okay, so can you give me an example for the needs assessment and an example for the risk assessment, just for people that don't understand?
I mean, can
So,
I? No,
like,
I can't go through a whole needs assessment. No.
well, no, 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 just giving some examples. So, for example, let's just say children. You want to help.
Okay, so say
Let's
you
go
want to
with that one.
do, you say Chemung County, right? Chemung
Okay.
County, you want to do a needs assessment for the children 6th grade and below. What are the needs
Okay.
assessments, right? So now what you do is you come up with a series of questions that you're going to ask as many people, as many parents, right? As many
Hmm.
people involved. So first question you can answer. The first question you'll always be able to answer. Who are the stakeholders in those kids? Okay, stakeholders mean who has a vested interest in those people. So 6th graders and below. Who has a vested interest? Well, everyone in their family, their parents, right? The grandparents, everyone, their
Hmm.
brothers and sisters. Those are all stakeholders. So everybody, everybody has a
Okay.
vested interest. What about the teachers in the school? What about everyone? So they are the stakeholders in those kids.
So,
Yeah,
mhm.
go ahead.
And then a risk.
Okay. There's so much more to this. So first
I
with a needs
understand.
assessment, you identify the stakeholders. Then you are now creating a series of questions of what is the situation?
What
Kids in
is
the
the
state, what is the
what is the
situation?
situation?
Yeah, what is the situation that you have with these kids that you want to address? Are the kids safe? That's number one. How many of these kids are not safe? Do they have a safe living environment? Do they have food every day? Do they have a way to get to school? Do you want them to go to school? Do they need to be homeschooled? Do they need These are all questions you start to ask so you can
Hmm.
address the needs of those kids. What do those kids need? And what do the stakeholders, the parents, the other people, what do they need for those kids? What support do you need to provide education programs for the parents? And you start to realize there's an infinite number of questions just to ask, even if you just took one group of those kids, even if you took 100 kids in one area, you have all these questions to ask and consider. And the real question is, how many people have actually done their needs assessment, right? to identify a practical solution, right? And that's the
So
problem.
this is in regards. Okay, so
That,
this is So this is not just for assemblies and your communities. This is also for your business plan. I don't like saying project. Your business plan. You know, it doesn't matter who will be funding it. You know, this is your business plan that you are creating, that you are now sending out to the universe, to your creator. That you are sending this to your creator, and they must put it in place if it's going to be good for for the highest good of all concern. So this is also in regards to that, right? So, for example, if you had a business that or a business a project that you wanted to help children, then you could then implement. So you would then have to do a needs assessment, a risk assessment, and basically what are the issues and what are the solutions, and then for who is already doing it and breaking apart. So, right, that's what you have to go through the whole thing. It's like figuring out maybe there's someone else doing it, but they're lacking something, you know?
well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely true. So you can apply this to any business. Every organization needs to do a needs assessment. I mean, you do this for classes when you're designing curriculum, right? You're identifying, okay, what do I need to teach? How do I get it? How do I get it there? So you do this for everything, right?
Yep.
But applying a needs assessment to a business plan or a project, right?
Yeah.
Um, Ground Commander has been talking about care, right? At some point, people are going to present projects to be
Well,
funded. And she
or
said,
maybe, but that's a thing. Do we really know? Like, this is where it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it's going to come from. You know, it could. Don't put an expectation there. Don't put care. You know, then you're just telling the universe it's just care. What if an investor comes along that is for the people and that wants to help you and funds you today? You know, we're in the golden age. Anything is possible. You know, so for me it's like don't just put care in there. It could even be yourself. You know, I know you struggle with this, but I'm like, if we're going to talk about the universe, we're going to talk about our creator, then in reality it's coming from our creator.
all right, so when you do your business presentation to God, okay, so you're doing your business presentation to God or whoever, the ambiguous character or whatever, which, in my opinion, I think there has to be something. This was brought up recently. I'm just repeating what the World Situation Report said was we're going back to projects, right? We're going back to projects. So now, as far as I can tell, projects haven't worked either, let alone the assemblies. Assemblies didn't work. Projects didn't work either because no one's ever been able to get funding for a project, right? For projects. Because there's projects that have happened for years and years and years and years and years. People have applied, been approved, and not got funding. You can, I mean, I have been in the project funding world for 10 years. I've had several projects approved by different organizations that I did not get funded for, right? That I had approved, that I had money approved from different organizations. Now, is that how it's going to remain? Absolutely not. Something's got to give, right? Something's got to give. So we're going to leave it and we're going to, however you apply to your project. Let's just say in the future, these things need to happen now. These things need to happen now. Actually, I shouldn't even say the future because the future is now. So the point is doing a needs assessment to identify what you need to do to accomplish whatever goal, right? Whether that's a business, a product, an invention, changing your community, providing better education, providing better healthcare, anything requires that you identify the needs. And that process is much more thorough and in depth than people actually put the energy into it. Because every other aspect of your project, your business, your goal, your purpose in life will unfold as you answer the questions, the hard questions that you put into a needs assessment. Then, once you identify a solution, right? You identify a solution. We're going to take these kids. Here's what we're going to do. We're providing, super flying mopeds to get back and forth to school for every kid, right? Awesome. Great project. Pretend mythical project, right? Then we do a risk assessment. What is the risk? Well, the number one risk is my kid goes flying off the scooter, right? And we have lots of kids dying from scooter deaths, right? That's the number one risk assessment. We have traffic jams that are created because kids are on these bikes. We have theft. That's all now risks identifying. We weigh the solution against the risk, right? Does the benefit outweigh the risk? And in some cases, it doesn't matter. One kid dying is going to outweigh all the benefits, right? You can't introduce something that's going to kill kids, right? So you just can't. So that's how these things. So that's kind of the first stages. Whenever I talk to anyone, I'm like, you need to do a needs assessment, and then once you work through your needs assessment, and the needs assessment is something that has to be done hands-on by you personally with your group directly involved. You can't take some generic questionnaire offline. It's a real process because nobody knows your community like you do. Nobody cares about what you care about the way you do, and nobody cares about anything you have to say until they know that you care enough to do that.
Mm.
So you want to talk about what speaks volumes? You give me a project with a well-worked needs assessment. I mean, really gone through these are the needs, these are all, and these are the stakeholders, these are all the problems that are there, these are the all the different ways these things are affected. These are the and you leverage it out. You say oh, these are the impacts that are happening because of this problem. It's not just affecting us; it's affecting these people in this situation, the water, right? And you weigh it all out. By the time you get through that thing, it's
By the
invigorating.
time you get through that,
By the time you get through a needs assessment done properly, it's exhausting, it's invigorating, it's inspiring, it's encouraging, and you have all those answers. You've done all that work. Then you're ready because everything that comes up as you go through a project, now you have to identify how are we going to get this done. Now you got solutions. So what do I need to get it done? Because part of that needs assessment is what do I need to get this done? I mean, you can answer everything. Now, believe I've had 3 major projects approved from completely different organizations because my needs assessment was so thorough. Because I went through and I made sure I understood what I was looking at, how to fix it, what a viable solution were, what the problems were I was going to run into. And the
mm,
only one that can do that is the one thing I find all the time. You have to identify leaders in the community that are willing to put the time in. And that's what a leader really is. Someone who's willing to put the time, effort, energy, and love into a community. You identify those people, and you know what? Now it becomes easy because they love it. Now you're saying, hey, look, I need your help to do this. Can you help me identify the needs? Oh my gosh, they know everything about everybody. They know every person that's struggling. You ever talk to somebody on the ground floor of a high rise in a low income neighborhood in New York? That person
no,
knows
never talk.
everybody's problem. They know everybody's problem, what they're going through. Now you might just call it gossip, but the people that actually care, who've been there for years, who remember when the neighborhood was better, those people, they're your leaders, right? They're the ones invest. Now, that's one example, but identifying those leaders, the ones who are invested in the community, man, it changes everything.
But as a leader, as a leader, as a boss, as a mentor, you actually hear the person you're speaking to. What are their needs? When you are a boss, you are constantly making sure that they have everything that they need to do the best job that they can do. All the resources, the education, the equipment, the everything, so they can do the best job that they can do. Because when they shine, you shine. And that's just the reality of it. When people are really do have that mentality, and I actually think that's the whole thing about this. For me, being sovereign means I am my own boss. So I think you need to kind of go to that. And some people don't want to own a company. Some people don't want to own a product. Some people don't want to create something. Maybe they just want to be in their own garden, and they want to help someone because they just don't believe that they have the time, or they don't want to do it. Not everyone wants to do that. So I think it's that once you get to that point, you're always thinking about what the other person, what your company needs, what your business needs, which means it's them. You have to hear them. Because if something's going wrong, they're going to tell you, hey, listen, it's not functioning here. You cannot be everywhere. I know that some people try to, you just can't, you know? And if you go into thinking everyone's an infiltrator, guess what? Everyone's gonna be a goddamn infiltrator. And then you're gonna be looking out and going, what happened? I lost myself in that process because I was too busy worrying about who can actually break me instead of finding the people that could help me create a better future for myself, for my children, and for the ones to come next. So that's, yeah, go
What I've
Mr. Al.
always said to my teams, and I still firmly believe this, is you know what? I'd rather do things so exceptionally, so well, so tight, so much better and different than anyone's ever done it before that I don't have to hide it. I can
That
call
you
my
don't
shot.
have to.
I don't have to hide it. That I can show, I can tell you what I'm going to do. You see it coming and you still can't stop it.
Hmm.
That's always been my goal. We're changing the world. That's what we're here to do. You see it coming. You can
Yeah.
doubt it and hate on it. At the end of the day, we're doing it one way or another, and we'll keep informing and telling people exactly how to do it. That type of fire catches. You can't stop it. Right. Now,
Well, and it's also really important to also state that your foundation, the concrete of whatever you're doing, has to be set. Then everything else will just fall into place. If that is not set, which is oneself, if you're rocky, everything's going to be rocky. I don't care if your mentality is not like, thinking everything's bad or thinking whatever it is. You need to be strong here first as well and just know you are building it correctly. And I'm telling you, the minute any business, if the foundation is done correctly and firm, anything is possible. I've seen amazing companies go from nothing to something, and it was not people in the cabal. They were just people that literally said, you know what? I don't care what I have to do, but I'm going to complete my dream. This is my baby. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be the lawyer, the accountant. I'm going to do everything until I hire the people that I can give it to afterwards. They nurture their company, and their flaws or their failures are actually the things that they're like, no, I can do it better next time. It doesn't matter how many times I get down. I'm going to get back up. It doesn't matter if I have 2 hours sleeping. I'm going to continue doing what I have to do because you have that mentality. That's what we have to go back to is going, this is our baby. Whatever you're doing is your baby and treat it that way. But first, the foundation, which is you, has to be settled. And, you get what I'm trying to say, yeah? Or did I
yeah,
make
I got
sense?
you. You're right. No, I
Okay.
mean, I don't think that people have to be completely settled to pursue this. I actually think
Well, no.
I don't think that's I don't
What
think
I
that,
meant by
the pressure of getting I got to get all of me right before I can pursue this.
wait, wait,
To
wait,
me,
wait,
is
okay,
too much.
okay. I probably said it incorrectly. Let's just say it's got to be yourself, oneself. You got to in this process. You're gonna have to look at the hard truths on yourself. That is it.
But
Whatever.
I think the
Wait,
process of pursuing other stuff
wait.
it
But the
means
other thing, I think it's
that you are
both.
part of it.
I think
Yeah,
it's both. I think what business has to be. This is where the needs assessment comes in, the risk assessments, and everything else. I think it does. It all falls in place, but it does also mean you have to be there too. And there needs to be, the passion. There needs to be. Sometimes you are everything for that to get it off the ground. It just is. You just how bad do you really want it? And I'm telling you, when you've got something that you know in your hearts of hearts, that's what you have to do. You will do everything and anything to get it there. And I'm hoping it's for the light, because when you have that hunger, you know how it is. A lot of people that are watching this know exactly what I mean about that. So that's what I'm saying is and the other thing that I think is really interesting, I'm like, well, have we thought of that maybe because this time, we were talking about the Lions Gate, Source Gate, whatever gate that we want to call it, it was on the 8th of August. But now the new moon, again, excuse me, I don't really know too much about this. This is all I kind of like see. So it's like I see that on the new moon's coming up now, which is now, I think, and then on the 26th or 28th, 20 something, there's another thing happening. What if the whole projects thing, the whole it's up to you came up right now? Because putting your business plan on paper and being so consumed on your being creative, that's when we're manifesting the most. Oh my lord, what is it? We're manifesting. Where you said
It's
it the
the
other day.
collective consciousness is changing. So we're collectively manifesting and creating something positive.
Well, no, when you're creating, we spoke about this the other day, or either by ourselves.
Oh,
When you're creating,
when you are creating it is when you are closest to God
okay. So
or
what if
source.
that was what we needed? That's the reason why, because now we're going to be focused on that. So therefore, as we're focused on that, we'll just get the right directions to move forward. Because I do know a lot of people were disappointed with the 3 shows that were just out there. There were a bit of things like, what is going on? What does that mean? I don't understand. I'm really, please explain it. You heard it as well. There was a little bit of things going, what is going on? It just doesn't make sense. And that's where I'm like, okay, maybe it's that. What's your thoughts about that?
Look, I don't think it ever hurts to tell people that they're their own savior.
Well, it's the truth though.
I think that's the truth, right? But
Yeah.
there is something to be said about everyone's got to play their part, right? Like
Yes.
if you have a dish to pass, right, for Thanksgiving dinner, right, and your job is to bring the turkey, right, and you show up with like deli meat, right, and not enough for everybody, but your job was to bring the turkey, right? It's going to be hard in that dinner to have the full experience because everybody had a role to play, and that is how we're made. This world is a dish to pass, right? We all bring something to. That's the point. That's what a dish to pass is. Everybody brings the macaroni salad. Somebody brings potatoes. Somebody brings the stuffing. Somebody brings the turkey. And if you don't do your part, well, you're not going to have the same meal. Now you might still eat, but you're not going to have the same meal that you planned on having, right? So there is something to be said about everybody doing their part. So in this collective, you know,
But I also think, good or bad, I think everyone plays a part. And we may not understand it, like it, or it sometimes may taste like vinegar. But if we like it or not, no matter what happens in one's life, that person or thing played a role for whatever reason. You tend to get to the
what does
point of
that?
like
How does that help
being,
me?
okay,
If everybody
continue.
plays a role, okay, everybody plays a role. So
It does it, but yes, everyone plays a role, good or bad as well. Because sometimes you get to a place, it's like, well, this didn't help me. How does this help me? This person didn't bring the turkey. Like, you
that's
want
my
to go with your
point.
turkey
So
thing? Okay,
okay,
the person didn't bring the
everybody
turkey.
plays
Well,
a
then guess
role.
what? If I'm at that party, you
Yeah.
didn't bring the turkey. You brought cold meats. Okay, guess what? What else do we have here? Can we make pasta? Can we make bread? And then everyone has a sandwich. You know, there's ways of doing that. I just think that there's a reason for everything always. We may not
Okay.
like it.
So identifying the role that people play, we could say is important. That's why you're saying this? Because everybody plays a role. So like it behooves you to identify who's the jerk, who's not going to show up to the party, right? Like because everybody plays a role, right? Everybody plays a role. So what's the point
Yes.
of that? How does it help us if we know everybody plays a role? The deep state's playing their role, and they're doing a great job. They are making it so easy to stand out and be exceptional because they constantly destroy, fumble through, and are complete idiots who want nothing more than to destroy and kill all of humanity. You guys make it easy and be a hero, right? Because they're doing what they're doing. We get to be, hey, I don't want that, right? So I'm going to fight that from happening. That's not even hard, right? It's like, hey, I don't want you to kill my family. I don't want to die. I want to live an exceptional life and make this place better. I mean, that's not even hard. But they're playing the role. Great. But in this, the people we're talking about who are is the to play is to contribute to make the world a better place? That's where it was a question.
You cut out. Sorry, you cut
Don't
out.
you think that who we're speaking to, like who we're really trying to touch, is people who want to make the world a better place? Don't you think that's who we're talking to when we're
I
trying to
do,
reach out to
but
people?
I also believe what we're at is people that have given up too, given up on the
Okay,
life force movement. So this
okay,
is
but
where I'm saying, good or bad. Wait, 2 seconds. You just asked me a question. I believe that I'm talking not just to, like, for me, is that I'm talking, I would love to talk to 8 billion people, or whoever needs to, you know, come on board now so we can actually do this together and get out of this mess that they put us in. I believe we're at that point now. So who am I talking to? I'm talking to the ones that don't know what we're talking about, have a little bit of understanding, or even ones that are like, you know what, I gave up. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. This is just another day ending in Y. Because that's the reality. I've heard that, and sometimes it feels that way too. If we're gonna be honest, then we might as well be honest, because we've said a couple of things here that we thought we would never say. But like that's who I'm talking to and saying, hey, if this happened, don't worry. Good or bad, that person played a role. If you like it, like it sometimes tastes like vinegar. That's all I'm saying.
so I'm confused that they played a role. Maybe it was negative. Like some of you listening to this, hey, maybe you're just not supposed to help. Like that's where I'm confused. Is
God
that what you're saying?
no.
Okay,
No.
that's what I'm trying to
I'm not
understand.
saying that.
What's the point of there's
I'm
good and
talking
bad?
about that's this, what we've been doing, and people that are watching this, we've been doing this for a lot of years. Okay? There's been a lot of ups, there's been a lot of downs. That's the reality. That's the elephant in the room. So this is where I'm saying is that some people watching this is like, hey, I already did this. I did
Mm.
this. I wasted a lot of money. And or not even money. I wasted my time. You literally shut the door on me and told me I was evil, and I didn't do anything. And aren't you supposed to see everything? So this is where I'm like, hey, just remember the enemy is them. And we just have to stand up and rise together. And if you've given up, I get it. It's tiring. I have started that network, I don't know how many times. And every time it was thrown to the ground, it was money being wasted. And it was like, why am I doing this if no one is coming? But I knew there was a reason, and I had to learn a lot. Going from a woman that was like getting told, Pinto, if you F it up, you're going to have to fix it. And I'm going, I don't know nothing about servers, to we got hacked. And I was like decoding these codes that I just had no idea how to do it. But they were like, do this, do this, do this, do this, this. And I did it. And I was like, okay, well, at least now I learned that I didn't know that I didn't know how to do it before, because there was no way I knew how to do it before. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that everyone plays a role, good or bad. And I'm talking to the ones that have given up, the ones that don't know about it, the ones that are like, how can we do this? And the other ones that just want to be in your little circle and just go, you know what, if you're not a Kim follower, if you're not this follower, goodbye. But guess what? I don't care. We're gonna have to come and do this together and find a solution together. That's what I'm trying to say.
So one of the things that Laura is referencing, we built the entire Life Force network. We got it got hacked, and what they told us when they examined it was an NSA level hack. Right? They couldn't fix it, and she was able to go in and literally download knowledge out of from the ether and figured out the hack, corrected it, fixed it, and relaunched. Now, this was after we had already rebuilt the network completely from scratch because it was hacked and taken down before, and we couldn't fix it. This time, she went in, completely renovated it, and fixed it. Right? That's a
Well,
power
it
that
wasn't the time. They kept telling me it's not the time, it's not the time, it's not the time. I'm like, we're looking like absolute nitwits that we don't know what to do. it's been hacked, it's been hacked, and I know that we can fix this, but what is going on? And they're like, just, it's not the time, it's not the time. So when we finally, it was the time, it was like, oh, okay, I understand now. And I did understand it. But it was quite cool because it was like other people saying they could not fix it. I'm like, well, tell me I can't do something.
Yeah, and you're very good like that. So, um, and as far as everybody plays a role, just to clarify, because I think those kind of statements cause confusion. So I'm going to
Okay.
clarify it. Okay,
Okay.
one, to get to where you are today, to who you are today, you've had lots of people come and go in your life. Some of them brought out the best in you. Some of them brought out the worst. But all of these different people, whether they played a positive role or a negative role, have helped sculpt who you are today. Don't
Yes.
hold resentment or anger towards the ones that you thought were negative because they still help sculpt who you are. They helped you become who you are. And the people out there listening who will be touched by this message or anything that we have to say, or anyone else who's got something similar to say, the fact of the matter is, let go of any of that resentment and all that other stuff. Just let it go because we have a mission moving forward. And for the first time ever, and I'll tell you, I have dealt with this energy. I've dealt with this energy. I spent my whole life, I grew up Baptist. Then I was in another church that told me, another non denominational group that taught me amazing things, but basically told me I was going to hell and there was no way out of it. Right. So I spent a lifetime fighting that energy. Now, you might not have done that consciously. You might have been fighting it in a different way. But I was conscious. That's what I was terrified of, and making decisions my whole life, trying to be something, knowing what it seemed like God didn't care about me. That's what I felt like. It was a struggle. Now, here I am now in this day and age, and think about what we've learned. We were in a system that was dark. We were. That's
It was,
true.
yeah, 79% darkness. So, we were talking about this. I was like, well, it's kind of not a lie what they've kind of taught you, but, because we kind of were praying to the wrong God. We were 79% dark and only 79% and
79, we were
21%, right?
21% light,
21%
79%
light.
dark. In your best
Yes.
case, some people were more,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
right. And then, and imagine the ones that were able to get out of that system and then connect with the archivists and connect with the archangels. Like, that was the other thing I thought about. I was like, well, then they, once those ones, the gurus that are, and I don't mean it like in a disrespectful way, but I mean like those people that think they're high and mighty, like they're better than everyone. That's what I'm talking about. Because for me, it's like you're always going to be learning. It doesn't matter if you're talking to God every single day. You're going to be learning so much every day, and that's how we should be. We're all babies. We don't even know what is possible in this planet just of yet. So I'm excited to know that. What what can we do here? And I know there's a lot of time until we get there, but it's exciting to think about these things. So anyway, so going back there, I look at it. Sorry, go.
I wasn't going to say anything. You go.
I've just lost my train of thought. So continue
All
now.
right.
Sorry, I paid attention
Okay.
to you and I was like, yeah. so, sorry.
She sent me a message.
I
It
don't
said
even know.
IFG, and I guess that was forgot. And I thought she said
I
I,
forgot.
I thought she was telling me I F and go. I was like, oh, go ahead. I thought she was letting me know. I was like, yeah, you go ahead, rock it out.
No, I forgot. I was like, I paid attention to you. I was like, yeah, what's up? And then I forgot. I'm sorry. That does happen.
Okay.
So,
So where we're at, I mean, because this direct current, I'm telling you, please put this to the test. Put the direct
yeah.
current to the test. All this wisdom we're getting. Wisdom is the judicious application of knowledge, right? Practice
Mm,
wisdom before strength, meaning have the wisdom not to put yourself in a situation before you're praying for the strength to get yourself out, right? Wisdom is essential. It's how we apply what we know, right? So
mm,
if we have this divine connection and direct wisdom from God, from source, and we can apply that to everything, that means that we should have a greater understanding of everything. And not only that, but so does everyone else, which
Mm.
in our old way of thinking, we would have got competitive. But think about it this way. If that's the case, then the things I'm saying should touch more people. It should inspire more people. There's a part of them that now is like, wait, before I heard that, it touched a nerve, but I didn't care. But now my whole being lights up with like, that's real, that's true, I believe that, right? And if you can ignite that in other people, right, and you can ignite people to say, what do we care about? Let's make it. We can make anything
Mm.
now. We can create anything, bring it into existence. Let's do it. Let's do it, right?
How do we
If
do it?
how do we do it, right? And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that starts with a needs assessment. We got to see. This drives me crazy. People want to talk about being positive, like be positive, talk about everything, love, love, love. Everything's great, everything's wonderful. No, it's not. Some shit sucks. Some of this stuff going on sucks, and you can be an adult and say, okay, here's what is not good. How do we fix it? That's what being positive is. Not ignoring the problem, not pretending like it's not real,
No.
not pretending like kids aren't trafficked, right? Not
No.
pretending like there's not a deep state that's running the media, not pretending like there isn't everyone running the White House right now. Like there's got a dead guy floating around here. Not that all these are lies. They're not okay. They're not okay. They're not okay. They suck. And you can be an adult and say, these things, they suck. What are we going to do about it? And that's
But what's the solution?
what I just
That's
said.
where you have to go back to. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear that. It must have
That's what I
gone out.
just said. What are we going to do about it?
Okay.
What's the solution?
Okay.
That's the whole point. Now, and that is the point is we've got to get to that's part of what doing a real needs assessment. You can do it on your own life. Do a sample needs assessment on your life. What do I need? Oh my gosh, this is a great practice.
Mm.
If I was going to teach
Yeah.
people spiritually, do a personal, detailed investigation of yourself and ask
Mm.
yourself, what do I need? We actually do this in some of our healing, right? It's like what we kind of do like past life or like, age regression, where we go back to a moment where we identify like this hurt us,
Well,
this
it's not
moment.
even. Yeah, like it's just whatever you need to. You go back to that time, and what did your soul need at the time? Why? Go.
Yeah. And I defy anyone not to burst into tears while they're thinking about what their 7-year-old self needed when their G.I. Joe doll was stomped by a car and their father yelled at them or some ridiculous thing, right? Or a real problem when something really happened to them. I defy you to connect with that emotion and feel what you felt and do it without crying. And you will
Well,
see like
yeah.
you'll open up and realize and you ask yourself, an adult, what did I need at the time? Which I've done
Yeah.
this a bunch of times. That's how I know, right? So what I'm saying is, when you get there, you're kind of like, man, I just needed my dad to tell me it was okay, or I just needed
So
somebody to
then
tell
you would
me.
go and say, "That's right. I just needed someone to tell me it was okay." So then you get to that point, you say, "Okay, well then I'll give it to you. Me, the older version of you. Hey little girl. I know it's really scary. I get it. You're gonna feel all these things. I'm now 32, and I'm looking at you, going, oh, I want to nurture you. But hey, I promise you, just it's okay. It's gonna be okay. You don't have to hold this on anymore, hold on to this anymore, and you can let it go. So what do you need? I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Whatever you need at that
I
moment.
see
Do
you,
you need a
like
cuddle?
right,
I see you. Yeah.
yeah.
You're just giving yourself what you needed at that time and saying, it's okay. Because I promise you, look at me now. I'm good. Because I'm able to see this now. And I'm like, I'm good. I promise you I'm good. You can go now. Sometimes we need that in healing sessions. Everyone's different, what you need. And,
It's time.
you know,
It's
maybe it's
real
a,
time travel. It's actual time travel. You're traveling back in time to yourself. You know, like that. I'm a fervent
look.
believer that's actually what it is. You're actually going back into a time within yourself and you're connecting with yourself. I mean, and think about it, you can do that yourself now, right?
Mm.
What would your future you tell you? Come back to you right now. What do you need? right?
Well, on this journey, I can say for myself, one of the things, you yearn to be some. Many women yearn to be mothers. That's one of my things is to be a mother, and I've always thought about when I'm pregnant what I would do, and I get really excited about all the things that I would do as a mum to be. And it's interesting because any mothers out there would be like, okay, that's when your whole life changes. Like you will start to eat the right foods, educate yourself on everything, especially a first time mother or ones that want children that have already done it, like this one here. You go through all of those things. So when the time comes, you're ready, which you're probably never ready, but you do that. But when you're pregnant, you give your body and you give your body so much love because you are creating this being in your belly. And then you're getting so much love from your family, from your husband, your partner, your animals, just other people, just like, oh, you're pregnant, you're beautiful, you're glowing, whatever it is. And you just get this so much love, 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 love. And you're giving yourself so much love that I started thinking, I was like, because we were talking about this, and I thought, no, that's not okay. I need to do it first on myself and envision that, wait, why is it when I'm pregnant I'm going to do this? Why not do that now? Why not give that love to yourself? Because that's what
Yeah.
this whole journey is about, finding yourself and loving yourself. Once you start walking in your truth, whatever truth it is, you will start to see you will start to see more clearly, and you'll have more clarity. So, for me, we were talking about that, and I thought that's really interesting. I am going to try to do that, and we try constantly, and I feel like that's something we should be doing. And men, you know, I know you don't fall pregnant, but you know,
I got the best shape of my life when my sons were born because my sons were being born. Because I didn't want to be a broken down father for my sons. So, and because I was 13 years older than my father. My dad did everything with us. I want to make sure I could do everything with my sons. So I got the best shape of my life when my sons were born. And as you're saying this, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, she's right. I got to do. And we talk about this all the time, but as just hearing it sometimes in this context, like, hey, absolutely no. Now, I apply those things, but I think we're in a moment where change. You have a more earnest expectation of change, right? There's a scripture in the Bible that says, the prayer of an earnest man availeth much." And what it means is when you believe in what you are asking for, when you believe that you will get it, when you are earnest in your desire to make a difference and change, the universe has to respond. And that is, it brings much change. It's so powerful. Now, and take out, because we've been talking about like all these different entities that existed that would kind of get in the way of our connection to God, right? I mean, who knew there was an anti-source that would get in the way? Who knew that there was Abraxas and Marduk and Enlil and Enki, and who
right,
knew all this? That these characters could get in there, right? And all these
right.
Artemis and all these other characters who are intercepting our good intentions, our earnest prayer. Who knew that? Now imagine that's removed. It was a running joke worldwide that we would pray and nobody would answer, right? This is something that people are mocked about in religion. What good do your prayers do, right? People are mocked about this. But all prayer means is an intercession or an intercommunication with you and God. That's what it means. Prayer is an intercession between you and God. The way your blood circulates through your body, so too is a prayer between you and God. That the blood or your energy, your life force is circulating up to God and then down into you and back and forth. That's what prayer is, or meditation or mindfulness. So why not now more than ever we connect directly to activate ourselves, activate life force within us, the power of this movement. Because whether you're part of our organization or not, the life force is a movement that's much bigger than us. It's a movement to change the world. So change the world within you and ask for everything you need to do it. I am daily, constantly. So, and I'm watching this happen. I'm watching blocks I've had for years and years and years, struggled I've had, just fall away. I'm watching that happen right in front of me.
Yeah.
So if we're all doing that, won't it just build momentum?
Mm.
Right? The more of us that are collectively supporting one another, because we've had people doing black magic on us, wanting us to fail. You know what? Pushing us to fail, wishing bad things on us and others, thinking that's what they had to do so they could be happy. But those people are falling away. That energy is falling away.
That's right. The true
So that
colors always
means
come out.
that
Yep.
means the powerful energy of the collective mind and the collective's heart and the collective soul
Mm.
that we have, if we're all wishing good for each other, right? And for ourselves, and we're supporting that energy, that movement, that leadership, that desire, that all of that beautiful, powerful energy, the more we're doing that, and the more we tell other people, well, think about it. The things that we used to think would hinder us will just fall away. In the Bible, it also talks about this. It says, to have divine understanding, it says, first must come a falling away. And that's a falling away of our old understanding, our old limitations, falling away of what we thought was going to happen, that so and so was going to get us, that it always worked this way. This is always what happens. Just our luck. I love that term. Just our luck. Whenever things go right, I say the same thing. Just our luck. Things always go right. Just our luck. Just things always work out. And the more you start to look, like, instead of being that negative person, like, oh, great, with our luck, that's what people say. But imagine if, like, like, I won $100, just our luck. Great. I won again, right? Nobody does that. You just be happy about if you start to be happy about every little thing that goes your way all the time, everything just starts to go your way.
Being thankful and being grateful when
And
when that does happen. Yeah. It's really important as well.
I
And it's also
find
mm,
I find that most of the time, whether people want to admit this or not, most of the time things go your way. They really do.
yeah,
Most of the time, you wake up at night, you wake up in the morning, everything's working. Your eyes still work, your digestive system's working right. You go to the bathroom, it's all working. Everything seems to be in place. You're alive, right? You got a place to live, you got something over your head. If you took the time and energy to focus on all the things that go good in a day, that go well, versus the amount of time and energy we spend on the couple little puny things that go wrong.
mm,
Do you know you wouldn't even have time to fit in all the bitching and moaning we do about things, because we'd be so consumed with how grateful we are that, oh my gosh, everything is just working. Everything's
mm.
going my way again. Here I am again with food. I love this. I never did this my whole, not since I was a kid, but we spent 3 months with my parents and said
Mm.
grace every night. And so we say grace every night now. Every meal I have, we say grace. We make sure to take a moment and be grateful for that food. And every single time I say to myself, like, wow, it's okay. We got food, right?
It's also blessing the food too. Blessing the food as you're like right before you're going to eat it, saying thank you for it. I feel like if you have digestion issues, that could also help doing that, and peeling vegetables and fruits is also a big thing too. But by just being, grateful and thankful, and just by saying grace, it can really change the energy of whatever you are doing. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, what you can do. We see it, and other people see it all the time too. And if you don't, just keep going because you will see it.
Yeah. And I also love this now. And just another thing about grace, because I just really love this. So, like, I really love this. And sometimes when you understand things really well, you start to get full of yourself, right? So I did that. I got full of myself about, I had such a deep understanding of so many different things. I really thought I knew more than I did. And when I went back to the basics, I was like, I didn't appreciate this for what it was, right?
Yeah, that does happen. Mm.
So with saying grace, what I love, like, so you're, when you say grace, what you're supposed to do is say thank you. People don't know, they think it's their opportunity to ask for stuff. That's what people think. But think about how the principle of manifestation works. You put yourself in the feeling of already having, right? That's what manifesting is. Now, what grace is supposed to be is saying thank you to God for that already being done. And when you're thankful, it puts you in the feeling of how I'd feel if this was already done, right?
Mm.
Thank you for healing me. Thank you for feeding me. And you throw in all the things that are real too. Thank you for letting my eyes see. Thank you for this incredible family. Thank you for letting me be here in this moment, alive and well and intelligent enough to know that I should thank you. And you put yourself in that energy of what you want to. Thank you for making me financially abundant. Thank you for making me have superpowers. Thank you for allowing me to fly. Thank you for allowing me to thrive in all ways. And you start to connect with that feeling, you're literally creating that energy while you're taking a moment to be grateful before you eat. Isn't that amazing? I mean, so if no time, the whole rest of the day you're going through whatever, just taking that time. So I know it might be silly to people. I think that's really powerful, personally.
No, I get it. And I agree, and I think it's beautiful to it's just a reminder. For me, it's like no matter what, I just know that we're gonna do that right before we go to eat, and I just know that that's if I haven't done any of that day, then I know that at least once I'm doing it. Because we've got to be gentle with ourselves too. You know, you have your moments. You have good days. You have great days. You have amazing days. But it's also an opportunity.
Yeah.
Give yourself a moment and say, okay, you got this. You had your cry. You ready to get back up now? Okay, cool. What do you need? We got this. Let's keep going. You're a warrior. We can do this. Because, it is time. And I believe that the energies, you got to remember they're dying. So the light warriors out there, they're going to try to do whatever they can to come at you. So just remember that right now, I hate to say it like this, but their frequency vibes at a much lower frequency than you do. So if they're able to touch you, raise your frequency, because once you do, they can't get there and it's going to feel like wind. And you're going to just laugh at them and go, yeah, mofo, that's the best you got? All right, we'll see you later. And you're going to find that you're going to be cocky, or you're going to figure out what works for you. So that's what I have to say about that. Mr. Rao, it was a lovely talking to you. And thank you for everyone being here. And I will let you wrap it up.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Look, we're at a critical moment in the history of humanity, and you are, and not just humanity, but the whole world. And why not take a second and connect with God or Creator or Source or the universe or whatever it is that means something to you with your own self, and just invest your whole heart into a moment or a few moments every day where you just remind yourself that if the world is going to change, it's going to change because of something you did. Take responsibility for it. Take ownership of what happens in your life and in this world. And I promise you, I know that we have the power to change. Please be part of the Life Force Network. Reach out to us. You can comment or find us on Telegram, and we got all types of ways to do that. And we're doing all we can to bring the money together so that we can relaunch the actual network, so we can actually have a place where everybody can come together and talk in a safe way. And we're doing all we can to create that environment for everybody. And we appreciate your support. So my name is Stephen Rao, more commonly known as Tank. Let's go change the world.